Superman opens today, and in celebration, I'm gonna share with you the top 10 Superman comics. Number 10. Number 10. The Death and Return of Superman. Guys, this thing is huge, it's large, it's in charge, it's $60 all on its own, but it is literally the death and return of Superman, including the reign of Superman, when a bunch of different people showed up with different aspects of Kal-El and posing as Superman, until eventually you get the long-haired, black-suited Superman returning, the mullet Superman. This was a comics event. Probably one of the most famous comic storylines of all time. I had to include it in the list. When Superman died, everybody was talking about it. The issues were selling out. They're collector's items. You know, everybody around the world was talking about how Superman died. And DC did a really good job on it, fighting his rival Doomsday to the death. It is an incredibly intense fight, an intense story, and tons. It is very, very 90s. You know, it's got that art. It's got the older art. It's got some of the older storylines in here. But it is really, really good. And I suggest it, if not just the issue where Superman fights Doomsday and dies, if you can't get something like this. But if you can, this one's for the history books. And one of the biggest events that everybody remembers from DC. One of the few times Superman has died. The only other times I can think of, Lex Luthor got him one time in a brutal way, I think, in some of the old-ass comics, like Silver Age comics. And then there was a bunch of fake, times that he died. But this one was legit. This one, you got to see the fallout, the funeral, the after stuff. And DC did a good job of keeping him out of comics and letting the DC world deal with the absence of Superman. And so for that, it is an epic event that shocked a nation. The death and return of Superman. Number 9. Next up is Superman. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow? This is a love letter. This is a small comic you can read in a single session, $15. And it basically ends the old versions of Superman, the hokey, silver, golden, bronze age kind of stuff. It wraps it up because this is literally a story in which all of the villains gang up on Superman one day and attempt to take him down. And what would happen? What would he do with his friends? Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, Lana Lang, and then how would that work out? So it's kind of similar in the death and return of Superman, but in its own way, and it is a perfect love letter. You see how sad Superman is, kind of flying off there. It is a story that will stick with you. It does a great, great job of encapsulating the character. And it's relatively short. And in fact, this particular issue, this one, actually collects some other ones, Superman and Swamp Thing, and another comic that is actually on this list. So if you want, and the New York Times best-selling author wrote this one, Alan Moore and Kurt Swan, teamed up for this, and it's one of the better Superman stories, and I would highly, highly recommend this one if you want to honor the Superman comics of old. There's a complete story wrapping it up into the end, and then that after this they can send Superman into the modern age and do new stories with him. But it's kind of cool seeing Superman's personality back then and how it reacted back then, and basically his friends kind of springing into action trying to help him. So Really, really cool. Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Number 8. This next one, I'm cheating. I don't care. It's my list. It is a collection of Superman comics. It actually has this cover. So if you really, there's 10 on this list, and if you want to try to buy them all, like, you only really need to get 7 of them or 6 of them if you get this, because it collects a lot of the comics that are on this list. The one that I'm going to count for this particular one is Superman for the Man Who Has Everything. And in fact, this actually has 1, 2, 3, perhaps 4 stories. I think 3 stories that are some of the best Superman stories that are on this list. So definitely pick this one up. And it's got a ton of the, older Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age stuff. Some really good stories, including that other Death of Superman story that I'm talking about. So this is a lot of bang for your buck. Of course, it's mostly the older Superman comics, not a whole lot of the newer Superman comics. But for this one, we're talking about The Man Who Has Everything, which is that one. It was an annual Superman for the Man Who Has Everything, Mongol. This is why I really like Mongol as a Superman villain, and I hope we see him. They've done a cartoon on this, by the way, and it's just a really, really good story. It's actually also collected in this particular issue as well, because of the same writers and creators. So this story is about Superman his birthday, and he's getting a gift for his birthday. Wonder Woman is bringing over her gift. Batman, Robin is there, and unfortunately, Superman has already gotten a gift from Mongol. And it is sort of this creature there that you saw that's attached to his body, and it's basically feeding him and giving him images of everything that he's ever wanted. It's obviously Superman's Krypton exploded. He lost his original parents, and he's kind of living this fake life. And it's about how Superman tries to break free of that type of control. It's just an awesome, awesome story. It's surprisingly brutal. I think it's done actually better in the comics than it was in the cartoon that covered it. And it is one of my favorite stories of all time, and I hope that we eventually get something like that in live action. So that is my number 8, Superman for the Man Who Has Everything, and you can get it in Superman, A Celebration of 75 Years collection book. Number 7. My next one is a Superman Elseworld story, Superman Red Sun. This is one of the best Elseworld stories of all time. It is an alternate Superman, one who lands in Russia and becomes a Soviet Superman, a Soviet champion instead of an American champion. And it has so much cool stuff in it, like who's US's hero. I don't want to spoil much in here, but Superman does battle with that. And it goes to show you that Superman, at the core of his being, at the core of his character, he is the same. He wants to save people. He wants to do the right thing. So while initially there's a lot of propaganda and stuff like that, Superman manages to rise above, shine through, and make a really good decision at the end. The world is rich. It's interesting. You have alternate designs for Batman and Wonder Woman and some of these other heroes, Green Lantern, some name drop cameos from other Lanterns. And I just love Elseworld stories. This is one of the best. And I always say Man of Steel is also a really good Superman Elseworld stories, the movie from Zack Snyder. Superman Red Sun is one of those. This also has an animated movie, which is very good. I personally like the comic better. This one here, $20 to add to your collection, but this one deserves to be in the conversation for best Superman stories of all time. This one being the best Superman Elseworld story of all time, Superman Red Sun. Number 6. My number six, the next one on this list is actually was inspired James Gunn's current Superman film. This is Superman Birthright. This here, Superman Birthright, I think got it for 28 bucks, and it's a hardcover. I love hardcovers. In fact, I actually like the normal cover here, where it's just in Kryptonian and it's very alien. But this one is awesome because it is basically an alternate telling of Superman's origin story and his encounter. So it's got his origin story. It's got Superman kind of figuring his life out, kind of in Africa, his early years, and what he wants to do in saving. It's got some great imagery of him flying around with the animals that we've seen in Man of Steel. In fact, Zack Snyder said this also helped inspired him as well. And it's just really good, really interesting art, fantastic story, good relationship with the Ma and Paul Kent. The first time Superman goes to Metropolis and ends up saving Lois and Jimmy. But I don't want to spoil too much more. But I think one of the reasons why this one is one of James Gunn's inspiration is how Lex Luthor manipulates the media, and he is just so jealous of Superman. He wanted to be the savior of, Metropolis, and he wanted to be essentially the Superman. So how does he smear Superman? Well, he paints him as this alien, as this person that you need to distrust, this other. And then he fakes like an alien invasion of Superman's forces from Krypton and tries to pit the symbol in Kryptonites versus Earthlings. And it is a fantastic story. It's weird because at first, initially, I didn't like it, but towards the middle and the end, that's when it really starts to hit harder, and it does a lot better job. And you see Superman saving people, and the artwork is great. And eventually, it won me over, and that is Superman Birthright. They've retold Superman's origins in multiple iterations, like Superman Secret Origin, Superman Birthright. I personally like the Birthright more. There's Superman Man of Steel from kind of the reboot in the 90s. But that is Birthright, and it is a really good story of Superman. Number 5. My next one is a surprise pick. Number 5 on this list is Superman Up in the Sky. Now, this is a really interesting story. It is a new adventure in which Superman is already Superman. He doesn't die. It's not his origin story. It's just about what makes Superman super and his need to save people. What happens if, let's say, a little girl gets kidnapped by a supervillain and is taken off planet? What would Superman do? Would he go to save just one person and potentially let hundreds die, others die, thousands die? That is a moral, question that it's like, should he go after and save one person, or should he continue to try to do something for the greater good? So that was a really interesting question to ask. And I love this comic. The art is so good. It goes over multiple stories. It's basically almost like the 12 labors of Superman and what makes him up. So he does things for various people to try to get information on where the girl has been taken. And at one point, he even confronts Darkseid, and I love any stories with Superman and Darkseid. The Offer. And it is really good. And Superman actually makes a decision that's pretty shocking in this that I initially do not agree with. And it shocked me, but you have to wait to the end to see what actually happens. Does he find the girl? What happens? Does that question get answered? Is it the right thing to do? How do you deal with something so morally complex? And I love the fact that Superman Up in the Sky deals with that, and I think it deals with it in a really intelligent and poignant and meaningful way. So this one is awesome, guys, especially for new readers, because he goes on lots of of galactic adventures, fights lots of different villains trying to save this one girl. So, Superman Up in the Sky is my number 5. Number 4. Number 4, this is one of my favorites of all time. And actually, I think I got it wrong earlier. I said 4 comics inspired James Gunn. I think Birthright did inspire him, but I'm not sure if he's actually said it. The 4 comics he said, I'll show you later. This is actually one of them. In fact, they're doing a box set that collects all of the 4 comics that really inspired him. And here is one. And this is one of the greatest Superman stories of all time. It's here. It's also collected in this one. Another reason why this one's a really good one. That shouldn't be the only Superman comics you get, because it doesn't have a lot of the modern ones, but it definitely collects a lot of the good ones, including Superman. What's so funny about truth, justice, and the American way? Guys, this is a personal favorite of mine, and many times this is my number 1. And because it gets to the core of Superman versus other superheroes. This is there's also an animated one that I love almost just as much as this. In fact, it fills out the story a little bit more. So I highly recommend Superman vs. the Elite, because it's this in animated form. And essentially, it asks the question, when heroes get darker and more hard-edged and they start killing villains, like how does Superman deal with that in this old-timey, old-fashioned way of doing things and preserving life and saving people? Is that still relevant in today's world, in a harder-edged world where there's more danger than ever? Should we just kill villains? And that's why I love this so much. And you see Superman with the red eyes here, because Superman, he lets loose in this, and you see a dark side of Superman that you don't, especially in Superman vs. Elite, which I think does it even a little bit better than some of the comic panels here. But you gotta pay respect to the original. I love this story so much that I had to get just the comic instead of it collected in an edition. So what's so funny about truth, justice, and the American way is my number 4 best Superman comic ever. Check it out. Number 3. My number 3 is, I just adore it so much. It is so good. It is Superman for All Seasons. These next 5 you gotta buy. You have to, even if you're not a fan of Superman, you gotta buy. This one is $20 and it's worth every penny. The artwork itself, oh my God, the watercolor artwork. It's just, I can sit there and look at the panels all day long. The way they drew Superman as a strong man, which is where he was inspired. The look of Superman, why does he look like that? Why does he have trunks? It's inspired back in the 30s and 40s from the circus strongmen, the strongest men in the world. And this, I just love this story. So just like Superman Birthright and Superman Secret Origin, this is kind of a retelling of his origin. And not so much from a baby, but mainly from the Ma and Pa Kent in Smallville, on the farm, and how Superman's upbringing informs his character and really makes Superman Superman. The Kansas values, the American values, just the being raised by good parents, and you feel that through here. The lessons taught. This is how I would want to raise my kids, and it is just absolutely beautiful. And I love how large Superman is in this. He's such a huge, strong man. Lex Luthor has a unique look to him as well, has a little bit more hair. And I don't want to spoil too much in this, but it is, again, one of those classic stories between Superman and Lex. And in fact, this is one of the comics that James Gunn said inspired the film. So we're going to have to see, how much of this Lex Luthor and his tactics that he uses in this ends up in the film. But God damn, It is so good. In fact, I'll read some. Combines the scope and pathos of a John Ford film with an intimate portrait of a superhero. Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb have found a truly original approach to tell a legendary story. This book is a milestone in Superman canon, and it truly is. I love this book so much. It could easily, sometimes when I read this and I look at the colors, I say this is number one. So a lot of these go back and forth. This, for now, is my number 3. Number 2. Getting exciting now. Number 2. Talk about beautiful art. The legendary Alex Ross. This is Kingdom Come. You want to know where this look of the symbol comes from? It comes from right here, Kingdom Come. Alex Ross and Mark Waid bring the superheroes to life in such a beautiful way. Like Alex Ross, nobody does artwork like him, and it is so good. And in fact, it reminds me a lot in many ways of Superman, Truth, Justice, and the American Way, just on an even grander scope. This is after Superman ages and kind of retires, and other heroes kind of take over, and what chaos that actually leads to. Batman's older, Wonder Woman's older, but other superheroes kind of do things the wrong way and end up hurting a lot of people. And this kind of spurs Superman to essentially come out of retirement. And there's a sub-story of this man and the Spectre, and he's kind of showing and telling this story and this subplot of this great superhero mythos. They even have Deadman in here. They have so many characters. They have Shazam. They've got Hawk, a girl, and just all of them drawn so well that it's so compelling, and you have an epic battle. The reason why this isn't higher is because, is it really a Superman story? Because there's so many months, it's like Justice League kind of stuff, but he is a central part of it. He kind of kicks things off. He is the central inspiration and, a central character. So I think that I can include this on the list. It's also my list, and it's one of my favorite comic books of all time. You need to buy this, period. $18, and you have yourself, I don't know how many pages of pure amazing artwork. That's the thing. Like Alex's Ross artwork, it feels like you're cheating. It feels like every single small individual panel is its own comic book cover. Because you know how people go hard on for the comic book covers? He goes hard for the whole thing. So Kingdom Come, it is just one of the best Superman related stories ever, and I think it gets to the core of the character and doing the right thing, and it's interesting, and it's got an interesting conclusion. It's got heroes being heroes, but Superman is definitely a part of it. And Kingdom Come is also on James Gunn's list of the comics that actually inspired the events in his film. So, Superman for All Seasons, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, Kingdom Come, and the next one on this list. Number 1. That's right, the best Superman comic of all time, All-Star Superman. Now, initially I was like, I don't know if I like the artwork, the way they drew Superman, but over time I just grew to absolutely love it. And this has everything. It literally has everything. And I don't want to spoil too much in this book if you don't know what happens in it. But basically, Superman is dying. He flew too close to the sun trying to save in one of his rescues, and it is degrading his body. And so Superman goes on all of these adventures with a heavy heart on, how he's about to die. and he has a wonderful, wonderful side adventure with Lois. He encounters two Kryptonians that show up and try to dominate, and so there's all these little interesting, each one of these subplots in here that are super good and super interesting, all going across all of his legendary foes, Lex Luthor. I don't want to spoil much more. Even some of the wackier ones, they created a new character. Because I kept like, oh, I've seen this guy before. It's a scientist that's trying to help Superman and talk to him through, this crisis. And for a while, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is the best Superman. I don't know why I thought that way, but I've read this so many times now, and I agree. Because it's a single book. Bam, you get this, and it distills everything about Superman, what he believes in, the characters around him, his villains, in such a good way. And while he may not act exactly like some of all these other Superman comics in every single aspect of his personality, he mostly does. Frankly, a lot of the most iconic moments that get shared on Reddit or YouTube or social media actually come from All-Star Superman. And it is, its own take. And I'll read some of it, combining their singular talents to create a new and brilliant vision of the Man of Steel. Legendary comics storytellers Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely are reunited with collaborator Jamie Grant for one of the greatest Superman stories ever imagined. This collects a 12-issue series, and each issue is a banger. I think they tried to do All-Star Batman, and they tried to make All-Star a big series. I'm not sure the Batman one ever got finished, and I wish that we would have seen some of the other All-Stars, but this was the quintessential best All-Star. Not only ended up being the best All-Star Superman for the All-Star series, but one of the best Superman stories of all time. This one here, $30, you can probably find it for cheaper, but even at $30, it's worth it. This is amazing, guys. And by the end of this, if you will have read all 10 of those stories, you can call yourself a Superman expert, an aficionado, right? You'll truly understand who Superman is and his character. Now, I have 20 other comics that I've been going through. I wanted to make a top 30 list, but I wanted to make this video somewhat short and easy to consume. So we'll just go with the top 10, and in the future, I'll give you 10 more and 10 more of some of my favorite Superman comics and stories of all time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please go out and see Superman, the movie. I haven't yet seen it. We're seeing it today, tonight at 7. So hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully this is a Superman that is, a different take, but one that stays true to his character. I hope that it's an optimistic and hopeful Superman. I hope that it's a comic book version, because we've gotten a lot of different versions of Superman. It'd be awesome to see the comics version of Superman on the big screen. So we'll see. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and you can refer to this list anytime you want to know what are my favorite Superman stories. So, more to come on Superman. It is a great time to be a Superman fan. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.